Hi, we're back again for round 10, Trevor's lockdown quiz. A lot of bad scores last week, 18, 17s to 21, so we're hoping to get it over the 25 mark this week. Big shout to Davy Lisburn, Caroline, Josie and Bill, and the Golden Girls down the Shackle Hospice. Hope you're all keeping well, and we're going to start off with a general knowledge one. We've got two music rounds this week, so we're going to start off with a general knowledge one round to start off. How do people call the Metropolitan Cathedral of Christ the King in Liverpool? How do people call the Metropolitan Cathedral of Christ the King in Liverpool? What's the nickname they call it? Number 2. In which city would you find Temple Meads railway station? Was in it once. Temple Meads railway station. What city? And number 3, what is a chemical symbol for tungsten? What's a chemical symbol for tungsten? Number 4, who played the character Leonard Swindley in Coronation Street? Who played the character Leonard Swindley in Coronation Street? Let's get back up at that one. Let's go back. Right, number 5. What can women do once a year in America on Sadie Hawk's Day? What can women do once a year in America on Sadie Hawk's Day? And number 6. How many pairs of ribs are there in the human body? How many pairs of ribs are there in the human body? Okay. Number 7, sticking to the body. What's the most common eye colour in the world? What's the most common eye colour in the world? And the last one in this round is a TV one, and it's Barnacle Bill is the theme tune to which long-running British TV programme? Barnacle Bill is the theme song or tune of which long-running British television programme? Barnacle Bill. Okay, you know the score now. Put your hit the pause on your play, whatever you're watching it on, and I'm going to give you the answers. So if you want to go over some of them questions, then re-pause it here, unpause it, and you'll get the answers. Okay, number 1, the answers. How do people call the Metropolitan Cathedral of Christ the King in Liverpool? What's the nickname? It's Paddy's Wigwam. Paddy's Wigwam. And which station would you find Temple Meads railway station? Bristol. What is a chemical symbol for tungsten? W. Who played the character Leonard Swindley in Coronation Street? It was Arthur Lowe. Arthur Lowe, Captain Mannering from Dodds Army. And what can women do once a year in America on Sadie Hawk's Day? They can propose. They can propose on Sadie Hawk's Day. How many pairs of ribs are there in the human body? There are 12 pairs. And what's the most common eye colour in the world? It's brown. And Barnacle Bill is the theme tune to which long-running British TV series? It's Blue Peter. Blue Peter. Mark your scores down, and we're going to go on to the next round. Round 2. And this is going to be... what's that general? So we'll get a music one in here. Right, music. Baccarat had the best-selling single by a female group with over 18 million sales. I don't know where it still is, but it was anyway a few years ago, with Yes Sir I Can Boogie. But they had one other top 10 hit. What was the other top 10 hit by Baccarat? Okay, so Yes Sir I Can Boogie sold 18 million all around, not just in the UK, like all around the world. So what was their second and only top 10 hit after that? Number 2. Who had a hit in 1981 with Day Trip the Banger? Okay, Day Trip the Banger, but who sang it? Number 3, ELO and Olivia Newton-John had which hit from a film with the same name? Olivia Newton-John and ELO had a hit with the film with the same name. What's the name of the film and song? Number 4, released in 1987, which group had a big hit with It Must Have Been Love? Released in 1987, which group had a big hit with It Must Have Been Love? Okay. Number 5, the Eurythmics consisted of Annie Lennox and who else? Who was a male person in the Eurythmics along with Annie Lennox? 6. Who was the only member of the Spice Girls who had a name that was actually a spice? Who was the only member of the Spice Girls that had a name that was actually a spice? And number 7. Born in 1943, how is the singer born Barry Allen Pincus better known? Born in 1943, how is a singer called Barry Allen Pincus better known? And number 8. Captain Sensible had a hit in 1984 with Happy Talk, but what musical is Happy Talk from? Okay, Captain Sensible had a hit in 1984 with Happy Talk, but what musical is Happy Talk from? Okay, pause and go over them and unpause it and I'll give you the answers. Number 1. Becker had the biggest selling song by a female group with over 18 million sales with Yes Sir I Can Boogie, but what was another top 10 hit? It was Sorry I'm a Lady. Sorry I'm a Lady. I think I got number 8 or something, 7 or 8. Okay, number 2, who had a hit with the 1981 with the Day Trip song Day Trip? Who had a hit in 1981 with the song Day Trip to Bangor? It was Fiddler's Dram. Fiddler's Dram. ELO and Olivia Newton-John had which hit from a film which had the same name? It was Xanadu. Released in 1987, which group had a big hit with It Must Have Been Love? It was Roxette. And the Eurythmics consisted of Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart. Number 6, who was the only member of the Spice Girls who had a name that was actually a spice? It was Ginger Spice. Born in 1943, has a singer named Barry Allen Pincus better known? He's known as Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow. And Captain Sensible had a hit in 1984 with Happy Talk. Which musical is Happy Talk from? It's from South Pacific and it was sung by that character Bloody Mary. Right, is this a general one? Okay, mark them scores up, see how you're doing. Looking for around about 25 this week off yous. Okay, number 1, this is general knowledge. What was the only part of the UK to be invaded during World War II? What was the only part of the UK to be invaded during World War II? Number 2, which group of animals can be either called a sloth or a sleuth? Which group of animals can either be called a sloth or a sleuth? Right, number 3, which film director was married to Sharon Tate when she was murdered by the Charles Manson cult? Which singer or which film director was married to Sharon Tate? She's also a singer and model, I think. She was murdered by the Charles Manson cult, but who was her film director husband? Number 4, which musical instrument is known as the jumping flea in Hawaiian language? Which musical instrument is known as jumping flea in Hawaiian language? And number 5, which British ballerina was called Peggy Hookham? Which British ballerina was named Peggy Hookham, but which is better known as Peggy Hookham? Number 6, the Doors lead singer Jim Morrison had what nickname? The Doors lead singer Jim Morrison had what nickname? And number 7, when Ant McPartlin was replaced as co-host of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here in 2018, who replaced him for that year? When Ant McPartlin was replaced as a co-host of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here in 2018, who replaced him for that series as co-host with Declan Donnelly? Who was the co-host? Frances Herbert Woolward was the wife of which historical British figure? Frances Herbert Woolward was the wife of which British historical figure? Okay. Okay, pause it. And I'll give you the answers and then we'll go on to round 4. Okay, here's the answers. What was the only part of the UK to be invaded during World War II? It was the Channel Islands. Which group of animals can either be called a sloth or a sleuth? Bears. Which film dancer was married to Sharon Tate when she was murdered by the Charles Manson cult? It was Roman Polanski. Which musical instrument is known as jumping flea in Hawaiian language? Ukulele. Ukulele. Which British ballerina was called Peggy Hookham when she was born? That was Margot Fontaine. And the Doors lead singer Jim Morrison had what nickname? He was nicknamed the Lizard King. When Ant McPartlin was replaced as a co-host of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here in 2018, who replaced him? It was Holly Willoughby. Number 8. Frances Herbert Woolward was the wife of which historical British figure? It was Horatio Nelson. Okay, scores down, count them up and see how you're doing. And we're going to go on to oh, it's not much music left, is it? No, it's not. 2 more generals. Okay, number 1. A Pluto plotter was the original name for which toy? A Pluto plotter was the original name for which toy? Number 2. Earl Grey tea is flavoured by which oil? Earl Grey tea is flavoured by which oil? Here's a tough one. Billy Gray told me this one. This is never forget this one. So Laurel and Hardy had a dog who appeared in one of their episodes, and the title of the episode was the dog's name. Who was the dog that Laurel and Hardy owned for a brief time? What was the name of the dog that Laurel and Hardy owned for a while? One episode. Okay, if you counted John Buchan's steps and Eddie Cochran's steps, how many steps would you have? If you counted John Buchan's steps and Eddie Cochran's steps, how many steps would you have? And number 5, Dundee is famous for the three J's, Jam, Jute, and what's the third J? Dundee is famous for the 3 J's, Jam, Jute, and what's the other J? Right, number 6, which war was a jet-propelled airplane first used? In which war was jet airplanes first used? Number 7, who invented the lightning conductor and bifocal glasses? Who invented the lightning conductor and bifocal glasses? And number 8, you'll probably remember this story, but if you remember her name, maybe you'll remember this. What is the name of the blonde model, aged 26, who was married to multi-millionaire J. Howard Marshall, aged 89? He died 14 months later, but what was the name of the model who married him when he was 89, but he died 14 months later? So what's the name of the model, the blonde model, aged 26, who married the multi-millionaire J. Howard Marshall, aged 89 when she got married, and he died 14 months later, but who was the model? Okay, pause it, and we'll give you the answers, and then we'll go on to the final round. Hope you score in the mid-20s. I'd like to see around about the 29s, or if somebody can break through the 30, it'll be good to know if somebody breaks through the 30. Number 1, a Pluto plotter was the original name for which toy? It was a frisbee. Earl Grey tea is flavoured by which oil? Oil of bergamot. Laurel and Hardy had a dog who appeared in one of their episodes, and the title of the episode was the dog's name. Who was the dog's name? It was called Laughing Gravy. The dog was called Laughing Gravy. If you counted John Buchan's steps and Eddie Cochran's steps, how many steps is there? Well, John Buchan, the 39 steps, and Eddie Cochrane's 3 Steps to Heaven. It was 42 steps, the answer, 42. Dundee is famous for the 3 J's, jam, jute and journalism. So journalism's the 3rd J. Which war was jet-propelled airplanes first used? It was used in World War II. It was a Messerschmitt Me-262. So it was used in World War II. It just came in towards the end of the war, so it didn't really have a big effect on it. Number 7. Who invented the lightning conductor and bifocal glasses, amongst other things that he invented? It was Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin. And what's the name of the blonde model, age 26, who married the multi-millionaire J. Hart Marshall when he was 89, and he died 14 months later, and she's still living? She was Anna Nicole Smith. If you remembered her, you're doing well. Anna Nicole Smith. Never hear much of her now. Right, scores on the doors. Get your scores down. We're going to move on to the final round, and it is going to be another general. Number 1. Which actress, model and singer served 18 days in prison in 1982 for tax evasion? Which actress, model and singer served 18 days in prison in 1982 for tax evasion? You can remember that far back, 82. Number 2, bit of a geography one. What state is Fort Knox in? What state is Fort Knox in? And number 3, a lot of people's been watching The Crown, so you might get this. Who was British Prime Minister when Edward VIII abdicated? Who was the British Prime Minister when Edward VIII abdicated? And 4, I done my wee quiz with friends on Saturday night, and I had a wee motto round. I thought that's what it came in, but it didn't. So here's a wee motto round, or question. Whose motto is "Nation shall speak peace unto nation"? Whose motto is "Nation shall speak peace unto nation"? Number 5. In which street in London would you find the Bank of England? In which street in London would you find the Bank of England? Number 6. After the front crawl, that's a fastest stroke. The front crawl's the fastest freestyle. After the front crawl, what's the second fastest stroke? Okay, what's the second fastest swimming stroke? 7. Another war one. How is the World War II battle that took place in Ardennes in Belgium, better known as? How is the World War II battle that took place in Ardennes in Belgium, better known as? I think it was called the Ardennes Offensive or something, but what was it better known as? Number 8, the last one. According to the proverb, what is in the detail? According to the proverb, what is in the detail? Okay, if you want to go over them again, count them scores up, pause it, and I'm going to give you the answers here in 5 seconds. Give you time to go over and pause it. Lift the remote or pause it. That's 10. That's 10. 10 quizzes. That's 400 questions. Just going through them right now. Okay, here's the answers. Which actress, model and singer served 18 days in prison in 1982 for tax evasion? It was Sophia Loren. What state is Fort Knox in? It's in Kentucky. And number 3, who was British Prime Minister when Edward VIII abdicated? It was Stanley Baldwin. Whose motto is "Nation shall speak peace unto nation"? It's the BBC. And which street in London would you find the Bank of England? Threadneedle Street. It's called the Old Lady of Threadneedle Street, so you'll find it in Threadneedle Street. After the front crawl, what's the second fastest swimming stroke? It's the butterfly. The butterfly. How is the World War II battle that took place in Ardennes in Belgium better known as? It was known as the Battle of the Bulge. The Battle of the Bulge. And number 8, according to the proverb, what is in the detail? The devil is in the detail. Okay, so add them scores up and let me know how you've done. Get on and have a good day, and I'll see you next week. Well done.